So back into the Pro Washer Indulgence. All of these vehicles show as being new, which is bizarre because I've already done half of them. I don't understand how it demonstrates things to me. We've done the fire helicopter. The next thing based on our playlist is the private jets, which I remember took... Why is it saying resume job? I haven't started it before, but okay. We'll resume the job. I love he's just got a couch over in the corner here. This one took me quite a while, I think, in both the early access and the basic washer variants. So it'll be interesting to see how long it takes this time around. Green. Yeah, Netflix, another company that's going to shit. Yeah, they just don't seem to have much going for them. Yeah, whopping nothing good on it anymore. Rename it to Breaking Bad streamer. And they had The Witcher, which I haven't actually watched the latest season of either, but I was enjoying that. It's like not really anything to do with the games. It is more based on the books, which I haven't actually read, but I do know the story of. Yeah, it was nice enough. Like, it was cool. The effects are fun, the costumes are cool, the music's great. So, yeah, I think The Witcher's the only thing that Netflix really had going for it. I don't really care for Breaking Bad, so that doesn't work for me. Yeah, they used to have, well, they started off well with the idea of doing their originals, and then didn't really deliver much on any of them. Except The Witcher, I think. I think that's probably the only Netflix original that's held any interest to me whatsoever. I don't watch much TV anyway, so I'm not really one to go on. It would be more a case of what movies and stuff that they had the rights to, but most of those seem to be on Amazon Prime. Or Disney Plus, of course. Every now and again, jank this game has. Anyone found any game-breaking glitches? Kind of. I think you can do some physics stuff that like sends you shooting through the map. There's nothing useful, put it that way. There's no glitches that you would consciously want to do to gain any advantage that I'm aware of. I could be wrong, but I'm fairly sure that it's just there's some comical stuff that you can do with physics, as is often the case in any game. That's about it. Should probably be using the yellow look like. The rust is pretty tough. Real itchy throat. Yeah, you get that bit where it's just like it tickles in the back of your throat. Really annoying. Anyway, I'll try and keep my complaining to a minimum. Maybe if I just put an extension on, that'll probably help. I also do need to just clean that from below, I think, realistically. Like, trying to do it from up here is pointless. I'm gonna concentrate on the vertical elements that I would struggle to do from below. I think I remember thinking at the time that what this really needs is a like gantry or scaffolding around the edges of the hangar, like at the roof level, so that you could stand on that and shoot across at the plane. That would make a huge difference. Make it so much easier to clean all angles of it. Just shooting down at it with a long extension. So much easier than trying to just put a ladder up against it at all various points. There we go. So that was the rudder. Vertical stabilizer not yet done though? Maybe I didn't do all the way to the front of it. Okay, with the rust on this, I'm just going to use the yellow. Yes, it's probably excessive. The track width is a bit narrower than the green. I could probably get away with using the green mostly. but just having the presence of mind that it's cleaning the rust more effectively on the very first pass is just hard to go past. Netflix says Stranger Things. I don't care about Stranger Things. I know it was really popular. I never really was interested in watching it in the first place. There's a lot of things that I would probably enjoy if I did give time to watching them, but I don't know. Why would I? Basically. From what I could gather, it was a supernatural teen drama. I am neither supernatural nor a teenager anymore, so, you know. And yet I play the Persona games, so, you know. But I prefer those to watching something. At least I get some illusion of agency. There we go. Those sensors are annoying. There's one further down the fuselage underneath that was a real pain in early access, I think, because I completely missed cleaning it. Didn't even realize what it was. Okay, let's finish doing the top here now. But yeah, we're just going to stick with the yellow because we just have more peace of mind that the rust is going to get cleaned away by doing so. And it's still a step up from the basic washer where I was having to use the red nozzle on any rust whatsoever and take a long time on it. Whereas being able to use the yellow saves a lot of time. Read the whole message? Yeah, you're obviously not a fan of Stranger Things either. But I know a lot of people are, so I thought I'd clarify. Tail stew. Underneath? Yes, underneath. Yeah, when Netflix did their whole password stuff, it's like, okay, well, we didn't have one anyway. We were using my parents-in-law's account, I think. I say we. I didn't use it, but my wife was. And yeah. I think they have now just ceded to the multi-password sharing thing anyway. They just paid the extra or whatever. But we're not using it. At least I'm not using it. So I had a look and it's like, okay, what do they have? Oh, The Witcher, that's basically it. You know what? I know a guy. we have other ways of watching things like that if we want to. The main reason to use a streaming service instead of acquiring the ability to watch things in other ways is convenience. If they're not going to make it convenient, I'm not going to use it. Thinking much from Hollywood at the moment either. Yeah, I also don't really care about that, quite frankly. I've not been hugely impressed by much stuff from Hollywood. They seem much more interested in retreading old ideas in not even particularly original ways for movies lately. There's been a lot of remakes and redos and unnecessary sequels. And I'm sure that's a little bit kind of... It's probably a disservice to some. I'm sure there's been some really good original things as well, but nothing's really caught my eye. I mean, obviously Oppenheimer was the big thing recently, but I don't care about biographical, historical adaptations, really. Not my kind of thing. Not unless they're made into some more interesting story. King's Speech I've watched and enjoyed to an extent, because that was made to be pretty entertaining. And they took a fair amount of liberties anyway. But yeah, generally not that much of a bother. Barbie, obviously, I don't care. I can't remember the last new movie I watched that wasn't just watching an old classic. Most of what I watch these days is just on YouTube, and a lot of it's just like gaming content and stuff anyway. Or music videos, so, you know. Or comedy shows. Like, we've been watching Taskmaster, which is amusing. We watched the first season of the New Zealand one recently, and then started watching through the older episodes of the British one. That's a good bit of fun. Bit of mindless fun. I've generally come to enjoy content that is real people doing real things, as ludicrous as it may be, than fictionalized things, basically. I know you're referring to the Hollywood strike, or like the writer's strike and stuff, but again, it's unfair, probably, but it's like, I'm not sure what the writers were even doing. But it's also like the Actors Guild and stuff, and then good for them. I'm not a fan of strikes and strike action generally. I think it's more of a pain in the ass for everyone than anything particularly productive, but I know what the American kind of contract system and stuff is like, and I know it's just a shit deal for people. So it's something that just needs to happen over there, quite frankly. American system's pretty busted when it comes to employee rights and anything, so they need to change a lot before it gets to the point of things like strikes being unnecessary. Yeah, the comedy Seinfeld, the comedy about a guy who played a bee once. Yeah. I mean, he did Seinfeld first before the Bee Movie, but yes. Seinfeld's good fun from back in the day. That's a classic. The show about nothing. Which is what most sitcoms are anyway, let's be honest. Most sitcoms are shows about nothing. To me, Seinfeld was like the epitome of a sitcom, because it was situational comedy. It was just comedy about the situations that the characters were in, rather than trying to force some sort of storyline and narrative. I mean, it was doing that as well to an extent, but it was mostly just a bit of a microscope on aspects of life, which is kind of fun. I wasn't a huge watcher. I haven't watched it religiously or anything. I've seen some episodes. I've mostly just seen clips. I was more interested in Seinfeld as a stand-up than an actor, but I do appreciate the concept. Yeah, exactly. There's some strikes you can understand. But over here, there's been like doctors' strikes and teachers taking strikes or days off and stuff, and I find it much harder to sympathize. Because over here, we have really good employment protections anyway, and a lot of the problems has been the way that the unions have been running things for the last 10, 20 years, and locking the people that are meant to be representing into situations that are not good for them anyway. So at that point, it's like, kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So it's hard to sympathize. Because there is a really good private side of things, both in education and health over here, where people tend to get a much better run of it. So it's like, well, maybe you should just run the public service more like that. I mean, obviously you need to pay people what they're worth, but do it meritocratically. Don't do it just based on some agreement that comes up for renewal every few years, because then, yeah, funnily enough, you're going to have the same disagreements every few years. And I don't know what you expect to be different about that. And a lot of it is that it'll be supposedly a pay contract renewal sort of discussion, but they'll bring all sorts of other crap into it. It's like, well, it's actually beyond the remit of what you're dealing with right now, so what do you expect to happen? It's weird. I don't know. A lot of it's set by government policy, which isn't something that the actual ministry body can do anything about. It gets complicated. But it especially gets annoying. Plane looks like a candy cane. You're not wrong. Yeah. So, this feels like the Christmas episode. Culture shock watching France protesting 2 years retirement, yeah. I mean, that was also very facetious from the public, basically. Like, it was just an overflowing of sentiment against the government, and it seemed like, my impression is that the French love a good strike anyway, but what they were actually protesting against did not make any sense, I'm afraid. But whatever. That was a real good examination of how the status quo is just such a good deal, it seems, that any attempt to break away from it to something that is actually pretty reasonable is met with drastic opposition. Yeah, it's tough. I'm reminded of when I used to play SimCity, and it's like, if you start the game, immediately pause, ramp all the tax rates up really high, and then keep going, everyone's fine with it, and people will move in and pay really high rates and stuff. But if you were to start the game on the low taxes, and then get to the point that you're needing to raise them, and you increase them, everyone's unhappy. Because the point with people is that we will be unhappy at changes against the status quo. We're pretty much done on the top here, aren't we? Yeah, that window's even all done. Just need to do the undersides of the wings soon. French need just any reason to pull out the guillotine. Yeah, that's what it seems like. So, oh no, I won't be able to receive a fairly healthy state pension when I'm 62 or 63 or something like that. Like, you what? Okay. Whatever. You realize that that's untenable, right? I think the biggest thing that people do forget when it comes to government stuff is like, you know that that's your money, right? And you know that there's only a limited amount of it, right? And you know that you can't just keep having lots of things and not expect to maybe pay more tax. Like, the key point over here is when people say, oh, you need to spend more on education, you spend more on health, and you spend more on this. Oh, but we don't want to pay taxes. Well, we want to pay less taxes. I'm gonna stop you right there. You realize that's how things are paid for. It's important to me that you realize this. But I mean, they should definitely pay the politicians less in the first place. That would help me feel better about it. People work in the States working until they're dead, yeah, because their state cares more about the wallet than their life. Yeah, pretty much. And that's the thing is, yeah, over in the States, there is a lot of need for very harsh conversations and, if not strikes, then things along those lines, because their system is still very broken, very archaic. But freedom, apparently. Yes, freedom to die in destitution. Federal minimum wage that goes up every year. So do we. Though it has to be said that the minimum wage over here has gone up huge amounts over the last 10 years. Well outstripping any sort of cost price inflation, and now the chickens have come home to roost because now, like, food inflation and stuff has been super high. Costs for businesses are super high, and now everyone's complaining because, oh, but things cost more. Yes. That's because when inflation was 1%, we were still doing a 5% minimum wage increase for some reason. I don't know why, but we were. So, we need to put minimum wage up more because living costs have gone up. Yeah, mostly accommodation costs and housing costs. Maybe you should do something about that instead of tinkering around the edges. I mean, they said they were going to. Said, oh, we've got this plan to build like 100,000 houses over the next 3 years. Yeah, they managed about 20. Because they didn't actually have a plan, they just said a lot of stuff. That's the frustrating thing generally, is politicians who say lots of things, and people just believe them, still. I don't understand. Now, people still just believe things without taking them with a grain of salt at all. It's like, oh, they're going to deliver this. It's like, no, they say they want to deliver this. Do they actually have a plan that suggests they're going to? No. No, they do not. And it is kind of strange, like Europe and America combined. Various socialists have minimum wage with bonuses and sick days roughly. Interesting, okay. Sick days we have legislated. We have 10 sick days guaranteed. Used to be 5 a year. Now it's 10. It was increased during COVID times, funnily enough. But I've stuck with it. Bonuses, not anything that's very employer specific, and I think it should be. I don't know why you would have any sort of laws and stuff around bonuses. That's kind of weird. But minimum wages are very important to have. You've got to have some sort of legislated minimum. I mean, I think they did away with the youth wage here at some point, which kind of is stupid, because I feel that there should definitely be a lower minimum wage if you're like 16. It's kind of weird that you would get paid the same as a 30-year-old. But at the same time, it does then mean that people are likely to be able to pick up part-time work when they're older versus someone who's like, there's less bias towards people at school and stuff, so there's that. But then it just means that people are less likely to be able to get those early jobs and get the experience, so that's not so good. It's tricky. Yeah, I'm not sure what you do about bonuses, that seems weird. Unless you're meaning like a maximum, like a cap on bonuses and stuff for businesses. That one's trickier. I mean, at the end of the day, how can you tell a company what they should and shouldn't do? Like, they're going to find ways around it. If you legislated, oh, there's going to be a maximum amount of X $1,000 or whatever. So, okay, well, then we're just going to give bonus share options instead. You know? They'll find some way around it. Wanting to treat people. Heights. This side, there we go. Landing gear. Up in there. Somewhere. Oh, it's almost. Keep right clicking accidentally when I flick my wrist. I mean, what matters as much as like minimum wage and stuff is what the social security standards are like in terms of unemployment protections and things. What are we missing? Oh, let's do this. Cool. Remember that took me a little while last time because of the rust and stuff involved. Let's start on this side now. Vortex generator. There we go. I guess if I do them all from this side, then they should ding when I'm on the other side. Good. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is over in Canada for like an unemployment benefit and stuff. Like here we have a job seeker benefit, so if you're looking for work, then you can get a payment. I can't remember how it works out being. It's not minimum wage, because, I mean, you gotta have some incentive for people to actually want to work, right? There's all sorts of other top-ups and stuff you can get for it as well. Thankfully, I've not been in a position of having to look that closely at the process. But that generally matters more than things like bonuses and stuff. That goes hand in hand with a minimum wage thing to me. Gotta have a minimum for people who are working as well as a minimum for people who aren't. Free healthcare, kind of. Yeah, so do we, kind of. Stuff like eyes and teeth are not covered. Yeah, well. You need a bonus for that, or for, oh, you mean, as opposed to a bonus, you mean like a work provided incentive. Yeah, teeth is something that I can understand. Like, we have free dental checkups until you are 18. After that point, you're expected to know better, basically, and it's your own fault if you don't look after your teeth. And at the end of the day, if something goes wrong with your teeth and you need to have them like extracted or something, theoretically you can live without teeth. It is not life-threatening. It's a damned inconvenience, but it's generally also your own bloody fault. Barring kind of rare medical conditions and stuff, which if you were diagnosed with some sort of rare thing, then that would probably be dealt through the hospital system and you'd probably get some sort of payment on that. Not sure. Have to actually know a particular case to be able to comment reliably on that. But like one of the election bribes, like we've got elections in a couple of months, so there's been all sorts going on. And one of the bribes of the current party who are desperately trying to remain popular is that, oh, we're going to extend it so it's free for people under 30 instead of under 18. It's like, but why? Where did that number come from? Why not make it so that it's free if you have a low income? Like we have a community services card that you can apply to if you're on a low income. Just make it so it's free if you have one of those, or subsidized or something, like $50 minimum or maximum cost or something like that. There's all other mechanisms that you could do, but no, they just come out very knee-jerk and go, it's going to be free up to this. But why? I had a bunch of fillings and stuff when I was in my mid-20s. It was entirely my own fault because I did not look after my teeth at high school, or well, at college rather. And I was in a position that I could pay for it myself. And there's no way that anyone else should have been obliged to pick up the tab for my own poor habits. Quite frankly. That was just an extremely selfish idea that someone else should pay for me to have my fillings and stuff done. That makes no sense. And now that I'm in my 30s, it definitely doesn't make sense. But if someone was in their 30s, someone my age, but was struggling with their income and happened to need like a root canal or something spontaneously, because sometimes that just happens, I'd be happy for them to get some sort of cover. Give it to those who need it, not just based on some arbitrary age distinction. And optics is another one. Like if you have like recognized macular degeneration or something, there's a bunch of stuff that does provide for that. There's like blind, low vision and stuff. Our daughter is involved in a lot of that. She has seeing issues, so we're kind of involved in that. It's kind of difficult between kind of kids versus adults and stuff as well. Not sure how much of that actually comes from the government per se. It's generally through grants, through foundations and stuff, I think. My wife knows a lot more about that stuff than I do. But again, it is the sort of thing that there's a lot of times that if your eyes and stuff degenerate, it might well be your own fault. And also, again, is it life-threatening? If it affects your work and stuff, then yeah, that's not good. But you can probably also pay to do that yourself. I don't know. Having it completely funded by public money seems wrong. I don't know, it's tricky. Because again, that money's got to come from somewhere. Are you going to take money away from cancer patients because you need to pay for more eye stuff? you already have doctor shortages and stuff as well, so it becomes tricky. It's not just as simple as saying, oh, we're going to pay for it. I mean, I get free eye checks and stuff through various memberships, including my private health insurance. So, I mean, I have private health insurance. Almost every government job does give dental and optics, so yeah. Almost 30% of Canadian work for the country. That's extremely top-heavy. That makes no sense. I don't know what the figure is here, but that's a lot of people working for the country in some fashion or other. Yeah, we don't really have arrangements like that as such. What you're more likely to get here is that your employer might either pay for or subsidize private healthcare insurance, like private insurance, that then covers things like that, rather than covering it specifically. But dental is still an extra option. And I think eye cover beyond just the basic checkups and stuff is separate. Like, I don't get anything through my health insurance for glasses, for example. Only the free checkups. What am I missing? Oh, it's cockpit. Oh, I'm just missing a bunch of random crap on the cockpit. I don't think I've done the windshield yet, actually, come to think of it. I got very sidetracked by doing the wings and the underside that I think I forgot to do everything on the top. I need to check my checklist soon. Yeah, I haven't done the windshield at all. Oops. Five fuselage wiring, okay. Interesting. It'll be the big loom bits, probably. Okay, so fuselage wiring. This is one of them. Bit around the side, okay. That one's done. This one is not. Now it is. That's all the same bits. This one is not done yet. Now it is, so it's just in the corners, basically. Two more fuselage wirings. These underside bits, is it? No, that one's done. That one's done. That one's done. Ah, bit at the front. There we go. One more fuselage wiring. Where is other fuselage wiring? Okay. What am I missing? That one's done. That one's done. Is it on the top somewhere? Whee! Yeah, I love the big jumps you can do with the physics on this. Again, platform game. And there's 47 Crown corporations doing a lot of work. Okay, interesting. Here we have state-owned enterprises, which I guess are kind of similar. That's all done. That's all done. I mean, I can make it blink white to me. That's wing wiring. Fuselage wiring. It's all done. Laser wiring. What? I didn't have this problem last time. I had other things that I had trouble with, but not fuselage wiring. I'm trying to see something like blinking white, because that's usually what happens when you do that. Is there anything on the back? Oh, it's this bit. Okay. It's so disguised in the red. I guess I did it from one side and not the other? What? There we go. Okay, that took far too long. But still shorter than last time, I'm fairly sure. There we go. A giant candy cane in the sky. There we go. Then feel free to use this hangar for any larger odd jobs you may pick up in the future, as the monster truck and stuff like that all comes in here. Excellent.